my brothers are really sort of like direct. They're like, you might need some help with them drums. I was like, where's the bass? Like,
Where's the bass?
so sometimes, and I'm like, okay,
That's the most brotherly question I've ever heard in relation to music is, bruv, where's the bass? It's so rare when you get to hear an album that's so full of beautiful creativity ideas that it's able to maintain some kind of center of soul. Sometimes creativity can just be a distraction even to like the core of what an artist is trying to say. It's like, oh, that's so much I can do here. And yet somehow on this album, mate, you've been able to put so much into it. Thoughts, feelings, creativity, and there is this prevailing soul in the middle of this. That's you. It's just such a profound experience hearing this album for the first time, and it gets more profound by the day. So a heartfelt thank you for making this album, Sampha, and it's great to see you.
Oh, pleasure. No, thank you, man. Appreciate that.
I don't often do intros, but that one had to be said. The anticipation was so huge in my house. You're one of the few artists we can all agree on in my house. Me, my wife and our kids, we all have different opinions, but you definitely bring us together, and I know that's the case for many people I know. Were very excited about knowing that this album was coming. Did you tuck yourself away from all that? Did you allow yourself to immerse, to move with the anticipation of it and be as excited in your own way as we were?
I think I like dipped in and out. So there was times where I would like totally just shut myself off. But then naturally just like, coming across people and people were like asking, do you still make music? I'm like,
do you still make music?
I'm like, oh no, I need to do something about this. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, especially building up to the release of the record, I felt something, and I could feel the love and people like wanting me to release new music, which was nice.
Oh my gosh, we've missed you. And it's not that you're not around, but it's different when you return with something substantial. How does it feel when you finish an album? Because as I said, you clearly go through such a process of getting it to a place where you feel comfortable letting it go.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as artistic perfection, right? But at the end of the day, you got to a point where you could leave it and give it to us. Is that a feeling of relief? Is there a bit of melancholy to that? Because it's been such a process for you that what do I do now?
It's a strange like emotion, because when I did finish it, even through like listening to it again and showing people, I kept learning new things about a record that I've made, which is just a strange feeling, because then in that sense it feels a little bit beyond me to a certain degree. So yeah, I wouldn't call it like melancholy, but it definitely was like, oh, I was still figuring it out, even like releasing it now sounds different to me again. I'm like, oh wow, now it feels really like it's like I can really let it go, and it feels like beforehand I was still like, what about that sound?
But I don't know if you have let it go, because watching you live for playing this stuff for the first time the other night, there are arrangements which are not faithful to the album.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Most of them.
I can't help it. I really can't help it. Well, there's times when I'm playing things, I need to really sort of connect to it. So sometimes I need to change something or change a chord, or I just have like an idea. And there is a point, obviously, like in the record where I just had to stop like putting ideas into songs, because I was like, I think this has enough now. But yeah,
it's funny when you think about a song from your previous album, like Piano, and I think like those chords are so emotive. I mean, you probably don't do this, but if you go online on YouTube or whatever, the amount of people who are playing their versions of that, doing tutorials, the chords of that, I mean, it reached people, that song, in a very deep way. And yet you've changed the chordal structure of it, and it was beautiful. But at first I was like, like I took a deep gasp, because I'm so used to the feeling I got from hearing the recorded version of that. What prompted you, just to go back for a second and focus on that rearrangement, what prompted you to take that approach, the sort of restlessness of that in a song that is so beautiful and direct, and to me those chords and that story and that performance are so married to each other. It's almost would have taken courage to say those chords aren't going to be what I'm going to play that with anymore.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like put my finger on it or like be able to like articulate it in words, but sometimes those chords have a particular kind of color and a particular sort of feeling that, I guess, just like with any experience, things change over time. And so at the place where I was when I was like practicing that song, for whatever reason in that moment, it felt like I needed to change the chords, because, what I'm talking about the events, I guess, have changed. My feelings have changed a little bit.
It's
so
so
sometimes,
interesting. So in playing those original chords, in a way, it's like I'm not prepared to take myself back there to that feeling.
I think so, and it's strange because those chords as well are kind of chords I wouldn't usually play. It was kind of like an unusual, and I guess I'm more comfortable playing. In fact, maybe I should challenge myself and play the original.
Well, none of it's going to make you feel something that you either are unprepared for or have moved on from. I actually really resonate with that. Sometimes if I'm feeling sad and I'm looking for music, there are songs I cannot play.
Yeah.
Because I'm just ill-prepared to go there.
Yeah.
And I sort of am drawing a similar comparison to what you're saying. I don't know if I'm on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely like an element of that. And then there's also an element of like, for whatever reason, this works in this particular sphere, like, or something sounds great live, but on the record it's not quite da-da-da. And so sometimes it's like I'm always sort of like reconfiguring for like where I am. So if I'm in like a new space where I'm playing things live, I'm like, I need to be connecting with this here and now, as opposed to just trying to recreate what's on the record.
I love that. We don't talk about that enough. It's a rare opportunity to discuss the idea that music can actually be transformative for you, not just for us, that it can change shape as you do and not be beholden or try to reconnect to the person you were 5 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
You didn't do it to too much, though, I noticed. You did that, there'd be a fucking riot. There'd be a riot. It'd be
And in news you weren't expecting, a minor riot took place at a Sampha show last night because he changed the third chord in too much.
It would have been blasphemous.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Drake would have thrown the song away. It would have been over.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to this kind of this moment in your life, this album. And what a different human you sound like. I wouldn't ever pretend to know what you're going through at any given time. But based on what I hear, and as someone who knows you through your music, as a big fan of what you do, you've obviously just grown out of some shit, because it's a completely different Sampha I'm hearing on this album than on the previous one.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because, like the way I make music is I don't go in with like a concept. I kind of just know I want to go into the studio and create something. So a lot of it comes from like an intuitive place or a place of intuition. But so I feel like it's like a snapshot of where I am. I feel like process is like a photo of that time, and this also feels like a bit of a kind of sonic photo of where I am or where I was at. And I can see that, I have moved on a bit.
Yeah, no, it's transformative from a listener's point of view. I mean, most of the time we're used to that snapshot taking place, but it feels like it's if it's seasonal and the last album was winter, well, naturally this one will be spring.
Yeah.
But this one feels like winter and summer with no in between seasons. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. There's like a real shift. And I think about, I went back and listened to Process again after I discovered this album and listened to this album, and so beautiful, but at times so uncomfortable to hear you going through some of those things. You know what I mean? So honest. I mean, there's paranoia and a fight going on there, and like you're really fighting to deal with some pretty heavy stuff. Mm-hmm.
Can you put into your own words or your own context what that album is to you now that you've made this album and that you've moved forward in your life? Like, who are you, or who were you when you made that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was going through some like once in a lifetime things, and losing someone who's been with me for
your life,
all my life, and sort of going through that and having music as a canvas, going through that time. And as I say, I always see it as a document, because there's some things that are really beautiful about because the worst thing for me sometimes is like forgetting how something feels, or becoming numb or sort of apathetic.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a beautiful document of like even the tough things I was going through, or even the relationships, or what me and my brothers went through, and I have that as like a reminder, and it does, even if it does bring up some like difficult emotions, I'm happy that it's there.
Yeah.
Because it is a bit of like time travel, I guess. It's like memory. It's like a memory, and it's and if anything, I still see myself in there, obviously.
But you can't divorce yourself from those experiences.
Exactly, yeah.
You just learn to live with them.
Yeah.
Process them to the album's point.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Testimonial for the people that are in your family as well, and for shared experience. How does your music relate to your family? Do Do you even discuss it? Does it even come up? It's different when it's family and friends. It's an unspoken, unconditional relationship. It's not what you do, it's who you are.
Yeah.
But what you do is a direct reflection of who you are. So what's the relationship between your family and who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I've got 4 older brothers, and I've been musical, I guess, since a young age, and they've been really, I feel like they're all like super into music, and I've got a brother who like plays guitar and is like makes music himself. And so, yeah, they're really always been super like encouraging. And, you know, I've got a brother who's like had a super eclectic taste. So he was playing he was like The Strokes, and then it'll be like Joyce 1 minute, and it'll be Stevie Wonder the next, and it'll be like Wu-Tang. And then I've got another brother like Todd Edwards. And
I mean, one of the most important people you could ever have in your life is someone with broad taste.
yeah. You know, I took it in as well, you know what I mean? I was like, from a young age. So we talk a lot on the kind of musical level in terms of like an emotional level and like what the songs are about. I don't really talk about, I don't hardly talk about that with anyone really.
Yeah.
And there are times, but if anything, they always like, they pull me up like, what exactly are you talking about here? And I'm like, cool. And they're very like, my brothers are really sort of like direct. They're like, you might need some help with them drums. I was like, where's the bass? Like,
Where's the bass?
so sometimes, you know, and I'm like, okay, you might
That's
have
the
a point.
most brotherly question I've ever heard in relation to music is, bruv, where's the bass?
Yeah, and it's like,
all emotions present and accounted for, yeah?
Yeah.
No bass.
Yeah.
You're not going to get me listening to how shit life is without decent bass.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I don't,
Yeah, well,
but,
you know.
there's a range.
It was really lovely to hear you pay respect to, you know, the subtrack part of your life early on in the show, and just to give a taste of that. I still listen to the work you and Aaron did.
Yeah.
I love he's gone on and continue to do what he does. Same for you. But you know, we've never had a conversation like this. You know, I've never had a chance to just spend 30 seconds talking to you about how important that moment in your life was.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily probably the best identity creating work for you on a human level in terms of who you are as an artist, as Sampha. But man, it was a fucking cool era.
Yeah, no, it was pivotal for me. It was like the first, I feel like he was like, we like met each other over MySpace.
God, I missed that, man.
Yeah.
It's not a bad place to make community.
Yeah,
right?
no, it was great. I met so many.
A music-focused spot where you can became music-focused, but that's really what it was.
Yeah, MySpace was my jam. But yeah, no, it was great. I mean, initially when we started making music together, it was mostly instrumental, but my vocals started creeping in, and I feel like he had the vision. He could see like the potential, I guess.
Did he have to encourage you to sing?
He didn't have to encourage me per se, but it was like, oh, maybe we should develop this into, or like write some more, like maybe write some more lyrics. And he was like, because I would just naturally just start humming, and you know, I can't help myself. That's why I feature on so many things, because I get into a space and I just like, and I just naturally
do that. Yeah.
And someone will pick up on it. But yeah, no, we really kind of, that was a space where I kind of honed in sort of like songwriting more so, and alongside production, you know, like, and obviously having him as a bit of a mentor, you know, he would like show me this is how you use Ableton and da-da-da, and he was like, you're really open in that sense, and DJing and playing live. And it was the first time I had like, you know, songs on the radio, and, you know, in the beginning you know, playing live, we didn't have anyone with us, no sound engineers, no tour manager, so it was all...
Next thing you know, you're headlining Festival on a tent in front of 10,000 people. I mean, It was a crash course, right, on how to do things sort of in an independent way.
Yeah, it was definitely from like grassroots all the way up.
Thank goodness. I mean, I hate doing parallel universes, but imagine if if you'd been humming one of those songs in the wrong place and the wrong set of ears heard it, and we all make decisions, we all sign things we shouldn't have signed, and we all, you know, next thing you're on a label and you're doing something, you know, I mean, God bless you and Aaron for being able to teach each other how to do that.
Yeah, no, I feel very like fortunate to be like sort of surrounded by people whose, you know, taste I really respect, you know, and I admire, and I have, you know, I've never felt like I'm doing things that I don't want to do, which I to be honest, I find hard to do. It's like,
yeah, I don't think you could you? Yeah. That's why I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah.
Because I know that, you know, no one could have twisted your arm to want to talk with me. So I'm grateful that you're here. Not even Caius.
Yep.
Not even the homie. Homie couldn't have even made it happen. You were listening to what Aaron was teaching you about production because your work on your own music and what you've done on this album is some of the most amazing sound design and production work I've ever heard.
Oh man, thank you.
I think you must have gone crazy. Because how else are you in the detail like this, trying to give these songs this, breathing life into these songs, whilst also, kind of maintaining this really, really delicate balance of mix, of getting the bass in. That is a full-time job in itself, let alone maintaining the true essence of what you're trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. It's like constant work and revision and really sort of recentering and thinking about like, okay, is this hitting me emotionally? What am I saying? What is this music saying to me? And that happens on so many different levels, whether it's, like drum programming or turning up a hi-hat by a dB or, the lyrics I'm saying or the flow I'm coming with. And it's all, for me, it's all about just like feeling at the end of the day, as much as it is about, other stuff, more conceptual stuff and sort of cerebral things. But and I just enjoy it. I mean, that's my favorite thing to do.
It's just fun, isn't
it?
I mean, I think we make a big deal about getting lost in process, but isn't that the point?
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally one of my favorite things about being alive is being able to like create and discover and, make music.
Let's start with Stereo Color Cloud, Shaman's Dream. It's and I mean this is the highest compliment from my perspective, it's such a challenging introduction to the album because the chords in themselves, you have to be really focused to understand where you're going quarterly with it. It's not an obvious sort of flow.
Yeah.
And then you've got lyrically and performance-wise lots of contrasting conversations and moments going on around all the time. So you immediately set the tone that this is not going to be a verse, chorus, medley, verse, chorus album. Like there's a lot to be said and a lot of things to dive into. And I feel like there is just like multiple lives all happening at the same time, trying to find a common purpose. Did I get that right?
Yeah, definitely. Like I write songs, or especially on this record, from like usually like for a few different perspectives.
Yeah.
And
can I find a place where we all meet somewhere?
Yeah. But somehow I'm trying to make sense of it all, or they all kind of relate, or there's like a thread between everything to make it feel like one. But yeah, there is times where it's like, and even like where I draw inspiration from sometimes is coming from like 3 different scenarios that's just like blending into one thing. But yeah, you're totally like on the ball with like, I guess, the chord, like, how the chords are not, even for me, that's probably the least obvious kind of like sort of harmonic progression, I think.
The first time I heard it, I had to lean.
Yeah.
And I had headphones on and I'm leaning into some imaginary space outside of my headphones to figure out where you're landing with this.
Yeah.
The first time I heard it, I was like, all right, I need to hear that again. The second time I heard it, I felt like I'd known it my whole life.
Yeah.
It was the strangest experience.
Yeah. Like even for me, like playing it and then not playing it and then coming back to having to learn how to play it live, I was like,
yeah. But that's a relationship that I didn't know I wanted with those chords and the way that it fits together.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so brave that you started the album with it. That you were like, hey, look, I know you. I'd love you to meet me at the end, but we got to get over this hump first.
Yeah, no. So it was one of those ones I really was like, no, this is going to be the first track.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so yeah.
What was the song on the album that was the hardest to make peace with, to get into a place of balance?
I'd probably say like it's either like Evidence or What If You Hypnotize Me.
Yeah, I mean, toward the end, it definitely feels like you're pushing even yourself on this album.
Yeah. I feel like there's some tracks that came together really quick, like Only. But yeah, like
Suspended
Suspended came like right, like sort of.
Feels like it feels effortless.
That was the second to last song I wrote for the album. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me in a weird way, having had lots of conversations about the creative process around albums. It sounds like the kind of song that comes when you're not in the throes of when you've carved the stone and you've seen the shape and you know that all the waste is properly applied.
Yeah.
And you get to actually get into loosen up a bit,
Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like it's almost like I've done like training. It's like you've gone through all the dojos and then you're like, you've incubated you've been incubating all this time. I feel like the process has been incubating, and then there'll become a moment where it's just like there was a little like I guess a window of like creativity that happened, and it did feel like like I know exactly what I want to do.
Suspend! Oh,
Yeah,
oh, shit!
it just came out like
Oh my God. Sunshine, I missed you. Sunshine. Oh man, it's good to be out here in Regent's Park again in sunshine. It's great.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has that effect on the record. So let's get into a few nuts and bolts questions. Like, what was can you even put it into a time frame? Is there a start and an end, or was it just an ongoing process? Do you think of it that way?
Like loosely, there's like a loose start. It's like I say it all took about 2.5 years, I think.
Not at all surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a loose start, sort of 2019, summer of 2019, where I just got a new synth, and
Is it on here?
yeah, it's all over it. So I just got like an OB6 Oberheim, and yeah, I think like I made a song that's not on the record, but was the beginning of the record, and then like Spirit, yeah, and then I was like,
I feel like the OB6 went crazy in concert the other night. I feel like that was your gift to Spirit was to take us into full fucking rave mode.
Yeah, it was
Cool, really cool.
It was a mixture of that, some OB6s and so like some Moogs and stuff. But,
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it kind of just started from there. Like I feel like I need to like find a sonic palette, and then I sort of, as opposed to like I sort of got into music more so just like making beats and stuff, and that's like my main thing. Aside from it, I do play piano and I write songs, but generally speaking, especially when it comes to the thought of like making a record, it comes from like a sonic palette first.
All right, mad hot take here. I'm about to like get every songwriter and craftsperson in the songwriting world about to come at me hard. Sitting behind an instrument, in particular a piano, and writing a song is beautiful and emotive and important and something that needs to be done most of the time. But it's not fun like making beats.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not fun like firing up and like pulling stuff in and manipulating things. And I'm sorry, maybe it's just me. Like, I love playing piano and everything is beautiful and I can get immersed in it and I'm very bad. But man, like when you get the beats up and stuff, it's just, I don't know, there's something just fun about it.
I mean, I couldn't
Possibly
say,
create a distinction.
No.
Fine, I'll walk down that road on my own. If you're not going to follow me down that road.
Sitting well and truly on the fence. Right down the middle.
I'm also reading the comment section of this interview right now, getting fucking torn to shreds by everybody who doesn't make beats and plays an instrument. You know, I will say though, hot take number 2, everybody's so concerned about AI and this and that and everything else, but you started this album with a new synthesizer and you found something that would be made long before you picked it up and played on it, and it inspired you. It comes from the same place. It's to me, it's not about getting AI to write songs and put Sampha's name on it. That's never going to land because it ain't you. I'm sorry. It's as simple as that. And anyone who tries to find a distinction in that argument is a fucking idiot. But we've been using AI tools in music for a long time.
What, like unknowingly? Do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, the whole 80s was built out of sounds that nobody actually made.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, I get to manipulate. It was like, it existed. Like, that arpeggio existed.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay, there's house music.
No, 100%. I think about it a lot of the time, like, especially like the piano.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that piece of technology there, like, what would I be without it? To a certain degree,
I'm not a fan, obviously, from my previous statement.
There is like this element of like, we're not alone. We don't make anything in isolation. And it's like,
Right.
From all the bits of technology, like I didn't invent them. I didn't, the preset sounds that I use or whatever, or manipulate, or exactly. I didn't build my synthesizers. It's all a collaboration, and it's all part of nature, really.
It's all a part of the ever-changing nature of creativity, right?
Yeah,
that space.
Yeah, and I can, obviously, you can definitely see. I can see the concern, and there's a lot of validity in the concern, but there is also, sort of being open to, I guess, the change, and using it in a way that feels kind of creatively fulfilling.
I'm just less concerned as everybody else, and maybe this is just the biggest egg on my face in years to come, but I just think that anybody who's going into any technology with the intention of taking someone's identity and sound and making something is not making music, they're making content. they're making clips for attention or clicks or followers. It's content, just like they're manipulating something, but they're not creating something. Creativity has a story attached to it. I've been dying to talk to you about this album because I love it and I want to know why you made it, not because it got made.
I got you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Not
deep.
because it exists. Exists is nothing. Like shit exists all around us. I don't have any emotional connection to it.
Yeah. Well, what was the reasoning? What led to this point?
Where's the story?
The journey. Yeah.
Where's the story? What am I going to learn from it?
Yeah. Definitely.
I can't learn anything from it if it was made by someone, by something and not someone. So when people freak out about where it's going to go for music, I just think we're not giving the audience the benefit of the doubt, and we're misunderstanding why people listen to music in the first place.
There's definitely the argument of like sometimes not focusing so much on the author, but the story.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Or just
but I guess you also on the flip side, yeah, there's an element of, I guess, both of those arguments.
Music is magic. Music is excellence. It's not a product. We've done a good job of making it a product.
Yeah.
But it's never made with the intention of being a product.
And I guess there is an element of like, you know, it's understandable why people are like protective and you know, it's a natural reaction, and you know, it's a fair one, I think.
For sure.
And I definitely feel like it's one that should be challenged, but not in the sense of like being a one-sided argument by any means.
Correct. I'm definitely not saying let the floodgates open. Restrictions should be put in because it's people's lives and it's what they do, and it's already hard enough to get through.
Yeah.
And cut through and make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the long-term holistic implications to the artist as a person, as a human.
Yeah.
With a story to tell.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm like, you focus on the output, you know, just like, you know, like sampling, like we've been through like similar things.
Yeah.
You know, through the ages, even like with instruments and da-da-da. And
you can't tell me that Minnie Riperton, who I love,
yeah,
and that song, which I love, is in danger because Tribe Called Quest turned it into Lyrics to Go.
Yeah.
You know, like, I love Lyrics to Go and I love the original, and I put them side by side with an open heart, and I love both of them for what they became.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Satellite business, not just the song, but also what's ultimately become, you know, your concept for this particular short run of shows in the round. This idea of sort of insulation in a public space, right? Performance, but with community. Not just me and my friends and all the fans, but you and your musicians in the center of the stage. Is that more a direct reflection on the fact that performance for you is still a learning curve?
It is partly that, yeah, definitely. And just the kind of anxiety sometimes I feel about performing. And, you know, in terms of like the gaze, I guess, or the way that I feel like the world has changed so much in the time that I've been away from the stage in this particular configuration of like playing my music with the full band. So yeah, it was a kind of like me sort of caveating or like creating like a safe space for all of us, because I've got like a completely new band also, and you know, got some relatively difficult music to try and learn and, you know, and play, and yeah, just to like remind ourselves that this is like, you know, a space for expression and not for perfection, and you know, which can be a difficult one to sort of take on, because I'm naturally like, I want things to be great and and I want it, but yeah, just giving that space, like this is a space to feel a sort of element of freedom, or just like a reminder, because there's times when we're playing, like you know, like I guess every musician will know, sometimes your mind will just wander off, like, and you'll even think, what am I actually doing here? And sometimes you're just like reconnecting to, you know, what you're doing, and, you know, playing with people and the connection, just the purity of it, kind of like a circle.
Are there times when you're overcome by emotion when you're performing songs because of all of that, because of all of it, the environment, the fact that people are there for you, the fact the song has found its place on that stage, just whatever the chemistry is? Are there times when you are not performing, but it's like something else?
Yeah, there's definitely moments where I'm like, this feels incredible. And yeah, just when it feels like everything just like aligns. Especially I have that moment when we play like Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the new center of the whole thing for me.
there's definitely like a moment, like especially to the end of the track, where I feel like, oh, I love being here.
I just didn't think you wanted it to end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the feeling. I'm slightly mournful. If like,
Well, also, what's your drummer's name?
Blake Casco.
Holy shit,
He's alright, isn't he?
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, his performance in that, I mean, the whole show, everyone's on fire, but we
Yeah.
just got to give a special shout out during that song, and in particular, the last 3 or 4 minutes of that version of Spirit Live was,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've seen drumming that intuitive, but also so in the pocket, and not even a pocket I've even heard before.
Yeah. No, definitely.
A new pocket.
Yeah, he's trying out new things every show. I can hear him like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, no, he's great.
I think everyone gets so preoccupied when watching a drummer like that drum, where you think it's all about the frenetic drum fills and the machine gun fills and all that sort of stuff, but it's the space he's creating. I was watching him play. It's like it felt like he was in slow motion.
Yeah, no, he's really like respectful to the composition.
Yeah,
and really sort of knowledgeable about that. And he sort of knows every aspect of the song, and like he's just like he's aiding that on top of adding on top of it.
You already know one of my favorite songs on the record is Dancing Circles. I love that song. I just love a story about where what was going on that day when you were in the studio putting that together. The loop at the beginning is so crucial because it's the foundation upon which you can put whatever emotional journey you want to put. But it starts out being something that's really kind of almost like a mid 80s to sort of early 80s kind of New York sort of ESG. It's got a very kind of like street level, and that's what it conjured up for me. And then you just start going somewhere beautiful with it. So I just love the dynamic of that song.
Yeah. No, I get that feeling from it as well, amongst some other things. But it's definitely like that kind of.
Here come those hats, like. It's going to be something's going to happen. I feel like the tension's building, and you're so restrained in the arrangement. Not so much live, you bring it out pretty quick live. Yeah. But on the album, so restrained. How was it? Was it hard to wrangle that?
Yeah, I mean, that was a conscious thought. Like I wanted to write something that had a bit more space in it, just in the context of like writing so much music that had a lot of things in it. So just had that loop that I'd made in like a previous jam. But then I sort of built that song with El Grincho, and with the idea of like making something that has a bit more space to it, and sort of freestyled some piano over it, and we sort of arranged the song from there.
Yeah, I love how you kept the looseness of the playing too. You got it off the grid.
Yeah, and that was important. Yeah, because it felt quite like...
Well, because the loop is so on the grid.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Like, if I'm going to play over it,
Yeah.
And also, like, the way that you did... I love the story. It's just so immersive. And I was walking through Soul, as I was saying, listening to the album properly for the first time. And I got to that one, and you're talking about, just the chaos and sitting in a parked car in London. It's like I was in London again, just for a split second. It's like I just felt like I was there. Did you write that? Was it written as you experienced it?
This is one of those moments where it's like I took things from different like little like sort of fly on the wall moments of my life.
Yeah, talking about children, right? Talking about growing up is what I take from that song to some degree, wanting to find freedom in dancing and being connected with somebody, but life's moving fast.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. Sometimes I go to like, playgrounds. I'm like, where's the adult playgrounds? Like, I want to. I want to go on the swing as well.
Well, let me give you some advice as a parent who's been through the playground eras, and now our children are like grown up, like they're about to move out at some point pretty soon. Just get on there, man. Yeah. Just get on the swings.
Yeah, no.
Go down the slide. There's nothing better than going to a playground packed with parents and watching a grown up go down a slide and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to check the weight restriction on this. I'm just gonna...
There's that fucking amazing, seriously gangster slide. There's that fucking awesome slide in North London or whatever. There's that playground and it's like this huge metallic long slide. It's like 4 stories high and you have to climb up ahead. You know the one I'm talking about.
I'm not sure.
Kids bail the fuck out on that thing all the time. I mean, you will literally see parents running left and right because their kid's gone down that thing on the back of their sweatshirt and just gone flying off into outer space.
Yeah, because my slides are a bit stop and start.
Not this one. No, not this one. This one is like it's like
just
Blake 7. It's like get out of there.
Yeah.
Off into outer space.
Yeah.
I love that song and I love the whole feeling in it. And again, it just serves a beautiful purpose of bringing a a lot of sort of hope to this record. And it's not all the way through. There's definitely moments where I can see you searching, but it's clear to me, is I guess what I'm trying to say, that life as it's changed for you is impossible to ignore. And that looking through the eyes of somebody like your daughter, it has to just bring a new sense of optimism and hope into your life, even with all the fears of being a parent.
Yeah, no, there's a deep sense of like appreciation and beauty that, you know, I get from becoming a father and sort of shifting some of the sort of self-importance of myself.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You just prioritize pretty quick.
And that's something I'm grateful for.
What have you learned about yourself since you became a dad?
I've learned a lot of the things that like I lack.
Yeah, that'll happen. Same. I went through that.
I was
for
like,
sure.
oh, I'm not as patient as I thought I was. Or I'm not. I need to work on that. And sort of it's like recognizing the beautiful thing is like the sort of idea of unconditional love. But I'm like, but it keeps growing. You know what I mean? First it's like, oh, just like trying to figure things out.
Well, you're in protect mode, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something that's constantly, you know, you have to dig deep with and work on and sort of learn and humble yourself, you know, and sort of rewire your own upbringing a little bit and, you know, and sort of take things in, and the humility that's needed, I think is something that keeps on humbling me.
Oh, and it will never stop.
Yeah.
It will never stop, because as your kids get older and they start to sort of, they stop repeating what you say and they stop sort of acting like you act and they start developing their own identity, then you really have to learn to humble your own opinions and what you have, and you have to concede so much more and all the things that, you know, when maturity doesn't really, it's supposed to take you the other direction. Like, I know this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know shit. I don't know shit.
Yeah.
I can't control any of it.
Yeah. And that can be like a hard pill to swallow, I think. But it's, yeah, I'm trying.
The overall sound and feel of this record, do you feel like you've done that now? Does it open the door for you to try something else altogether? Or, I mean, where is your creative spirit now that you've put this out? Because it's such a beautiful, like I said, immersive body of work.
Yeah, I never know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to go even deeper into what I've started. And there's another part of me that sometimes wants to like depart as well. And, you know, part of this record for me is like recognizing the things that I'm preoccupied with and my nature and innateness and stuff.
Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, I guess like I gravitate towards particular sorts of like chords, or like even thematically talking about certain things. Or
you're also a restless drum programmer, which I love.
Yeah.
I love that. You treat it like it's an emotional connection to the song, not just a rhythmic connection.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And you know, I always feel like I'm constantly learning. Like I never see myself as like the best. Or like I'm always like, oh man, I want to make them. But yeah, in terms of like trajectory, there's like a few directions I feel like I want to go in. But yeah, I recognize that I'm like someone who sort of follows their gut, you know, and things can be quite fluid in the moment. But I do see, you know, I can look at this record and I can see like, oh, where I hit a ceiling. Oh yeah, I hit a ceiling there. There's maybe I need to go and figure some stuff out. And then there's other points where it's like, don't be so hard on yourself. Let go. It's all right. You know, just have fun and, you know, give thanks.
Give thanks. That's another thing that really shows up on this album in a big way, I feel. Is gratitude. Feels like I'm grateful listening to it, but I feel like I'm listening to you truly connect with and express gratitude through this album.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I do sort of like there's a bit of tear in the fabric of like, I don't know, of something that like there's a bit of cosmic awe sometimes that I'm like, you know, like a sliding door moments, those little moments where I was like, oh, okay, I see something, I'm feeling something.
So you are acknowledge and are aware in that moment that something is happening that is intangible, that is beyond your comprehension.
Yeah, like there's an energy, or, you know, like this album is me then, but I'm not that thing. It feels like you're just, you know, you're channeling all these inputs and creating something, and you sort of leave it behind, and but it's not necessary. But I move on, and you know, so there's a split. So yeah, there's an element of like me sort of interrogating the idea of like what channeling is, or what, you know.
Yeah, what's the most surprising moment for you on this album when you listen back to it and realize that tear, as you described it, was right there? What's the moment when it all came together and you're like, I could never. Has to be something else going on right now.
I feel like it's probably things like "And Can't Go Back" or like the mixture between like for instance, I've always wanted to make jungle music, like some jungle inspired stuff, and shout out Quake Bass. We together we kind of figured out a contraption to like a robotic drummer to sort of help us.
Isn't that just called like a drum machine or a sampler? Do you mean you got something that algorithmically moves with?
No, it's just these basically these like solenoids that you send MIDI to, and they sort of
Turn it into drums?
yeah, that you can just hit anything you put. So this is like a little thing that just pops out and hits a object and makes a sound. So you kind of created there's a company called Polly and Perk who kind of made these solenoid things. So we just put stuff on like snares, hats, and sort of created drum beats and had long jams like around stuff that we've sequenced, and then we'd play drums on top of that and and
So it's a physical contraption.
so
It comes out with things and it hits things in a sort of in a very kind of like frantic way. It could hit this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's cool. Why am I so surprised? It seems like it should have been made, but it sounds fucking rad.
I mean, people have been doing it for like
Yeah.
eons. There's like Pat Metheny's like MIDI orchestra.
Yeah.
And like Aphex, but it was just like a new thing for us. Yeah, so it was like, and it was really sort of inspiring.
Yeah, because you're off the screen, right? It's manifested into the physical.
Yeah, it was beautiful, like having something like that in the room to kind of jam around.
Yeah.
It was like the best metronome you could ever.
That's AI. That's AI. That's fucking AI in a weird way. It's kind of like it's the tool.
Yeah, it's definitely exactly. Yeah, it's just like sort of exploring new ways of creating. But I think there's times when like things like that happened, and then it worked, and then sort of built songs around it, and it was like, oh wow, this really is working. Yeah, actually, oh yeah, it's working.
You obviously just opened yourself up, and this is by no means a pun, unintended. But you expanded your process into something that was less insular and way more open. And in doing so, you've made an album that I haven't heard like anyone make like this. Like it's by the end of it, I want to go back into. So I know I'll never truly understand everything that went into this record. It's incredible achievement, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. That means a lot.
Where you go to next? What's happening with the touring next year?
Next year, I'm playing Ali Pali next year.
Fuck
in
yeah.
London.
Yes, you are. That's outrageous.
Yeah, which I'm super excited about.
Just one night? You could do a few nights there.
I mean, I guess we'll see. But yeah, no.
So a few nights at Ali Pali. Yeah.
I'm sort of organising a tour for next year, and festivals still sort of all in the making.
So we'll see you at Coachella?
Maybe.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice to see you out in the desert, man.
Yeah.
I hope we get to speak again before you finish playing this album and move on to the next one, even if you just come through and say hi. We've been looking forward to connecting with you and meeting you properly in person like this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the support.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Love you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you.